I decided to pursue being an artist because I've always felt the need to make or create, and for whatever reason the thing that comes most naturally to me is to make artwork, whether or not they're aesthetic things or perhaps more conceptual things. The aspect of my work which most excites me at the moment is what I'm describing as object paintings, which are 3D prints applied to a surface, like this one which is on the platform. These works that I've got in with Gertrude were kind of the entry point into this kind of way of working, and it was quite exciting for me because it's a way of trying to translate the more three-dimensional aspects of my practice to something that functions on the same level as a painting or a wall-based work. These have been 3D printed in SLA resin and then airbrushed and stuck onto a cotton poplin fabric. These are kind of about trying to think about the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. What I like about these is even though they're made by a machine, when you look at them closely, they all have minute differences, and that can just be due to tiny fluctuations in the printing process. So even though they are mechanically supposedly the same thing, they're kind of not. I'm kind of excited to see how these can progress. Sometimes you start a new body of work and you can quite quickly work out how it's going to be resolved, but these seem to pose open-ended questions, and I can't see the end in sight, which is what excites me. Technology plays an important role in my work, and sometimes that can be a means to an end in terms of manufacture, and other times technological manufacture has more of a conceptual role to play. Over lockdown, I taught myself how to use 3D sculpting software, and I've been sculpting objects and then 3D printing them in PLA, and now I can sculpt something from my living room and get it printed within a matter of hours, and I have the object. But then also I do a lot of full colour gypsum printing, and in that sense the technology definitely has a more conceptual underpinning to it. Kind of like think about these things as physical deep fakes or facsimiles of objects. It's kind of interesting that you can render an object like that just out of pure data. Those things have been scanned from real-world objects and they are essentially just code. And yet the machine can replicate these things in kind of physical reality. The work I'm most proud of to date is a piece called Oracle, which I exhibited at Josh Lilly in London and is now in the private collection. Sometimes as an artist you make something that surprises you, and this thing really surprised me in the kind of tone or the feeling it exuded, and sometimes you get lucky when you make something and that it gives off like a bit of an aura. These one-to-one renderings of mundane objects came around by looking at Dutch vanitas painting. They used a lot of orange peel or things that degrade over time to sort of articulate the transience or the brevity of the human condition, and it kind of occurred to me that I could use 3D scanning as a way to capture a moment in time. But there are also objects which are quite throwaway, really mundane, the toilet roll, the tennis ball, the sponge. These are things that are so ubiquitous that you don't really pay attention to them, and I think that contributes to the success of them as a trompe-l'oeil 3D printed object, because you're not expecting that kind of thing to have been manufactured using such advanced technological methods. I think that's kind of what interests me most about trying to capture the materiality of these objects.